Welcome to Java in 6 minutes. We will cover the basics of Java programming, so you can impress your friends or just pretend you know what you're doing. Let's dive in. Alright, before we get into coding, you need to set up your Java environment. First, download and install the Java Development Kit. Think of it as your coding toolbox. Then grab an integrated development environment like IntelliJ or Eclipse. IDE are like having a coding butler. They make your life a lot easier. Let's start with the classic Hello World program. Open your IDE and create a new Java project. Name it something cool like My First Java App. Inside the project, create a new class and call it main. Here's the code. This declares a new class named main. Think of class as a blueprint for creating objects. This is the main method. It's the entry point of any Java application. When you run your program, this method gets called first. This line prints hello world to the console. System out is a standard output stream and println means print a line. Next up, variables and data types. Variables are like containers that hold data. Java has different type of variables. Int for integers, double for decimals, char for single characters and string for text. So here's an example. This declares an integer variable named myNumber and assigns it the value 5. This declares a double variable named myDecimal and assigns it the value 599. This declares a character variable named myLetter and assigns it the value d. This declares a string variable named myText and assigns it the value hello. Let's make decisions in our code using conditional statements. Here is an example using if and else. Checks if age is less than 18. Prints you are minor if the condition is true. Executes the code inside if the if condition is false. Prints you are an adult if the condition is false. Loops allow you to repeat code. Java has for, while and do while loops. Here's a for loop example. This loop runs 5 times. I starts at 0 and the loop continues while I is less than 5. I++ increments I by 1 each iteration. And this line of code prints the current value of I. Arrays store multiple values in a single variables. Here's how to use them. This line declares an array of integer. After that, loops through the array. Prints each element in the array. Methods are reusable blocks of code. Here's an example. Defines a method named sayHello. Prints hello world. And this part of code calls the sayHello method from the main method. So Java is an object-oriented language. Let's create an object. This line defines a new class named dog. After we declare instance variables and constructor that initialize named name and age. Method that prints woof. Creates a new dog object, prints the dog name, calls the bark method on the myDog object. Now let's talk a bit more about classes and objects. A class is a blueprint for creating object instances. Each object has attributes, fields, and behaviors methods. Attributes are the properties of an object. For example, a car object might have attributes like color, model, or speed. Methods are the actions that an object can perform. For example, a car object might have methods like start, stop, and accelerate. Here's an example. This line defines a new class named car after declares instance variables. This is the constructor that initializes model and year. This method that prints the car is driving and creates a new car object, prints the car model, and method calls the drive method on the myCar object. Inheritance is a key feature in Java that allows a new class to inherit the properties and methods of an existing class. Here's an example. Defines a base class named animal, method that prints this animal eat food. Defines a subclass named dog that inherits from animal. Method that prints woof. Creates a new dog object. Calls the eat method from the animal class. Calls the bark method from the dog class. Polymorphism allows methods to do different things based on the object it's acting upon. It's one of the core concepts of OOP. Here is an example. Method is an animal class that prints this animal makes a sound. Overrides the sound method to print woof. Overrides the sound method to print meow. Creates an animal object that references a dog instance. Creates an animal object that references Cat instance calls the sound method which prints woof, calls the sound method which prints meow. Encapsulation is the practice of keeping fields within a class private, then providing access to them via public methods. Here is an example. Declares the private fields, sets the name, returns the name, sets the age if it's positive, returns the age, creates a new person object, sets the name to John. After that, sets the age to the 30. This line prints the name and also prints the age this line. Let's go to the next. Exceptions are problems that arise during program execution. Java has a robust exception handling mechanism. Here in this example, try contains code that might throw an exception, and myNumbers declares an array of integers. After that, print the 10th element of the array which does not exist, and that will cause an exception. That catch block array index out of bounds exception catches, and after that we print the error message what exactly happened. And that's a quick tour of Java Basics.